I want to talk about something today that, well, it's heavy, but it's important. You've seen the headlines, right? Iran protests, unrest. It flashes across the screen and then the news moves on. But what happens after the cameras leave? What's the actual human cost of standing up for the most basic freedoms? We're going to dig into the uprising in Iran that's been burning since 2025. This isn't just about politics, it's about the hidden toll, the stuff that doesn't make the 6 o'clock news. We're talking about a generation that's putting everything on the line in the quiet, brutal ways a system fights back to stay in power. So let's rewind for a second. This new wave didn't come out of nowhere. It's a fire that's been smoldering for years, decades even. But something tipped the scale in late 2025. For a lot of folks, it was the final straw. Maybe it was another young woman arrested over how she wore her scarf. Maybe it was the economy crumbling, making it impossible for regular people to just get by. The frustration boiled over from the big cities into smaller towns. And this time, it felt different. The chants were louder. The anger was sharper. People weren't just asking for reform anymore. They were demanding a whole new game. But here's the thing the regime figured out. They've seen protests before, so their playbook changed. The crackdown wasn't just about batons and bullets in the square anymore. It got smarter. It got meaner in a quieter way. They went after people's lives. Your job? Gone. Your chance to study at university? Vanished. They'd pressure your family, your friends. They'd freeze your bank account for supporting enemies. Imagine getting up the courage to speak out, and the punishment isn't just against you, it's against everyone you love. That's the hidden toll. It's a strategy to grind people down, not just with fear, but with sheer exhaustion. So you've got this incredible courage on one side, right? People in the streets, knowing the risks. And on the other, you've got this massive machine designed to make them pay a price so high, they'll think twice about ever doing it again. But what's that price, really? What does it look like day to day for the people living through this? That's the story. Not just the flashpoint, but the slow burn. Stick with me, because in the next part, we're going to get personal. We're going to hear about the individuals behind the headlines and how this hidden war is fought in the shadows of their everyday lives. So let's talk about the people, because it's easy to see a crowd and think protesters, but these are students, teachers, nurses, shopkeepers, regular people. I want to tell you about two stories that really hit home for me. They're based on a ton of testimony from folks on the ground, from human rights groups, from leaked audio. This is the real deal. First, there's Navid, not his real name, obviously. Navid was a computer science major at a university in Shiraz. Smart kid, had a bright future. He joined a peaceful campus sit-in. It got broken up. He wasn't beaten or arrested that day, but a week later he was expelled. No warning, no official hearing, just a notice saying his presence was not in the educational interest of the institution. His student ID just stopped working. Gone. All those years of work, his family sacrifices, wiped out. And that expulsion, it's a black mark. It means no other university will touch him. He can't get a formal job. They didn't just punish the activist, they erased the student. They killed his future. Then there's Sara. She worked at a private marketing firm in Tehran. She posted a single poem by a banned poet on her social media. A week later, her manager calls her in, says, "Look, we love your work, but the pressure, we can't have you here. It's a security issue." She was laid off. And when she tried to get another job, silence, nothing. Her resume just disappears into a black hole. People in her industry got the message. Don't hire her. She's trouble. So now she's not just fighting for a cause, she's fighting to pay rent, to buy groceries. They weaponized her livelihood. This is the hidden playbook. It's not always a night raid. Sometimes it's a bureaucratic letter, an administrative order, a quiet word from an intelligence officer to your boss. It's death by 1,000 cuts. They call it civil death, making it impossible for you to exist in society unless you fall in line, unless you publicly recant, unless you become invisible. And the psychological toll, man, it's massive. Imagine the paranoia. You don't know who to trust. Is your neighbor reporting you? Is that a plainclothes officer on the corner? You double-check every single word you text. You use coded language with your own family. The stress is constant, a low hum in the background of your entire life. It's exhausting. And that's the point, to make the cost of resistance so personally unbearable that you give up. But here's the crazy part. For a lot of these people, it's not working. It's hardening their resolve. Navid, he started teaching coding in underground workshops for other blacklisted students. Sara, she uses her marketing skills to run anonymous awareness campaigns. The repression is creating a whole shadow society of incredibly skilled, incredibly determined people. Which begs the question, if the old methods of control are creating new kinds of rebels, what is the regime doing next? How does it escalate? So the regime realizes that economic and social pressure isn't always enough to stop this wave. They're dealing with a generation that's got nothing left to lose. So they escalate. And this is where it gets even darker. We have to talk about the digital battlefield and the medical crisis. Because in 2025, 2026, this isn't just fought in the streets, it's fought on your phone. Iran has one of the most sophisticated and brutal internet censorship systems in the world. They don't just shut it off anymore, though they do that too during big protests. They weaponize it. They flood social media with disinformation and bots to drown out real voices. They run phishing campaigns to hack activists' accounts. But the scariest part, the targeted intimidation. There are countless reports of people getting these terrifyingly specific text messages, not a general threat. I'm talking messages that say, "We saw your cousin at the protest on Ferdowsi Street last Tuesday. She was wearing a green scarf. Tell her to stay home." Or, "Your mother's heart medication prescription is up for renewal. Be careful." They're saying, we are not just watching the crowd. We are watching you. We know your family. We control your healthcare. It's psychological warfare delivered right to your pocket. It makes your own device feel like the enemy. And for a lot of people, the only safe option is to go dark, to disappear from online life completely, which means getting cut off from support networks, from the world, from organizing. That isolation, that's part of the toll too. And then there's the physical toll they don't want you to see. We're getting reports from groups like Amnesty and Harana about a terrifying trend, denying medical care to injured protesters. Imagine getting shot with a pellet gun or beaten so bad you've got internal injuries and you're afraid to go to the hospital because security forces are in the hospitals. They check IDs. They interrogate patients in their beds. There's stories of doctors being threatened if they treat someone with protest-related injuries, forced to report them. So people are treating gunshot wounds and broken bones in basements with smuggled supplies. The infection risk is huge. People are dying from injuries that should be totally survivable. This isn't just repression, it's a deliberate strategy to make the cost of protest lethal, to make an example out of the wounded. So you've got this double-sided attack, right? On one side, a digital panopticon that gets inside your head, and on the other, a deliberate creation of a medical crisis to break the body. It's designed to terrorize, to make you think twice before you even pick up your phone or help a friend. The goal is to shred the very fabric of community and trust that a movement needs to survive. But it's not working. Not fully, because in the face of this, something incredible is happening. Parallel society is being built from the ground up. This is the part that honestly blows my mind. In the face of all this, the expulsion letters, the job blacklistings, the digital terror, the hospital raids, people aren't just folding, they're adapting, they're building. It's like watching something grow in the cracks of concrete. You've got this whole underground network springing up. We're talking about decentralized, leaderless cells that are incredibly hard for the regime to squash. They learn fast. They don't use hierarchies that can be decapitated.
First, you've got the knowledge smugglers, with students like Navid getting kicked out. Secret classrooms are popping up everywhere. A professor holds a seminar in their living room. A programmer teaches coding in the back room of a bookstore. They're preserving education that the state is trying to steal. They're sharing everything from philosophy to civil disobedience tactics on encrypted flash drives passed hand to hand. It's a whole shadow education system. Then there's the logistics network. This is the real backbone. People are using neighborhood WhatsApp groups not for organizing protests, but for survival. A baker marks a certain loaf of bread to signal that a security patrol is on their street. A motorcycle delivery guy becomes a courier for medicine and news, moving through traffic checks because he looks like any other guy working a gig job. Apartment buildings have lookouts. It's organic, it's local, and it's resilient. And financially, they've had to get creative. With bank accounts frozen and jobs gone, they're turning to decentralized cryptocurrencies to get funds to people in need. They're setting up informal barter systems. A doctor treats a wounded protester. Their family gets groceries from a sympathetic shopkeeper who needs legal help from a blacklisted lawyer. It's a whole alternate economy running under the official one.
The most striking thing? The role of women. From day one, they've been at the forefront, and now, inside this hidden society, they're the organizers, running safe houses, coordinating supply lines, managing encrypted channels. A system built on controlling women has ended up producing women who've mastered resistance. The very people the regime tried to silence have become its most ingenious opponents. It's inspiring, but it shows how desperate things have become. People aren't building this parallel world because it's exciting. They're building it because the official world has rejected, punished them. This is a society quietly divorcing itself from its own state. And that raises the big question. Where does this end? What happens when a country splits into two realities? So where does this leave us? On one side, a regime with the guns, courts, and prisons. On the other, millions, especially the young, who've checked out entirely. They're building their own schools, their own economy, their own communication lines in the shadows. This isn't a stalemate. It's a slow burn revolution. The battle isn't for a square anymore. It's for the future. Will Iran remain a rigid, controlled state, or be redefined by this resilient underground society forged under immense pressure? The hidden toll is real. Trauma, shattered futures, wounds treated in silence. But that same pressure is creating a generation that's resourceful, connected, and unafraid. They've lost their fear because they've already lost so much. And the regime's weakness? It needs legitimacy. It needs doctors, teachers, students. But by expelling and terrorizing its own best people, it's hollowing itself out and creating an army of disenfranchised citizens learning to live and fight without it. I'm not predicting dates. This is slow, painful work. But the clock isn't on the regime's side. Every expelled student becomes a teacher in the shadows. Every frozen account pushes people deeper into the new economy. Every slammed door forces the building of a new house. The world sees the flare-ups. The real story is the quiet aftermath, the living room classrooms, the encrypted chats, the silent determination of people who've decided the cost is worth it. The hidden toll is real, but so is the hidden resilience. And history shows resilience outlasts repression. This isn't just about Iran. It's a case study in what people do when they've had enough, and the terrible, incredible price of freedom built from the ground up. Thanks for sticking with me. This is Filed. I'll see you in the next video.